What is prefabrication in construction? You've heard the hype, you know you should do it, but it's a lot harder to implement than it sounds. So what are some ways you can get it done? That's what we're going to show you in this video, so stay with us. So prefab, short for prefabrication, refers to a practice of manufacturing or assembling components off-site. In other words, prefabrication means that you're going to assemble certain component parts or assemblies off-site and then transport them to the project site to gain better precision, efficiency, and for the purpose of elevating the safety and conditions of your workers. Prefab construction aims to streamline the building process, reduce waste, and improve overall project efficiency by taking advantage of off-site production and assembly. Typical things that we prefabricate can include walls, floors, roofs, or entire assemblies as a part of the structure of the building. The reason I like prefabrication is because it puts workers in safer environments that are conditioned. You're able to have, in most cases, a better, more precise product. Not only do you have better production or efficiency in the field, but here's the other thing. If you actually have to coordinate and prefabricate something before it comes to the project site, that means you've worked out most, if not all, of the problems before it comes to the project site. So you've reduced your chances for impacts or roadblocks. And so I really like that concept. If you can't prefabricate it, you couldn't build it in the field. And so that's a really good process to go ahead and get rid of those problems before you ever step foot on the project site. So I'm going to link you in the description below to a podcast about prefabrication that was on our Takt Construction podcast with Kevin Rice and me, Jason Schroeder. That's really going to, I think, broaden your perspective about prefabrication and how we use it to enable schedules. But here's the key. I want you to know, and it's in this podcast as well, I want you to know that no prefabrication is really not where we should be. And saying that we should prefabricate or modularize everything also probably isn't where we should be. It doesn't always pencil out. So if we say, yeah, we're going to assemble this entire building just with prefabricated pods, that may not pencil out. It may not be affordable. We might not be able to do it, but can you prefabricate some items? Can you prefabricate some assemblies, some rooms, some bathrooms, some head walls? Absolutely. You can definitely prefabricate spools overhead. So the key is for you to find that balance on your project site. For me, I default to, obviously, anything that we already prefabricate as a part of the structure, prefabricated underground, especially for electrical rooms, prefabricated overhead, prefabricated head walls, prefabricated kits for rooms if you don't actually bring in prefabricated pods, right? Prefabricated exterior assemblies, and anything else that easily lends itself to prefab. These are like my defaults when building projects. And so you need to ask yourself, what are the things that you want to prefabricate? And then once you decide that, then you actually get to go do the hard task of doing it. And here's some steps that you can follow as you start to implement prefab on your job. Number one, early collaboration. Engage all of the stakeholders early and explain your desire. Really just say, hey, these are the things that we want to prefabricate, and really have those discussions early on. Collaborate with the owner, the architects, the engineers, the vendors, your trade partners, and pull everyone together and at least get some buy-in for the things that you want to prefabricate. That will go a long way because you don't want design and the submittal process to go out ahead to progress past your prefabrication efforts. You want people on board early on. Number two, you always want to focus on the standardization of design components. So that means that if you want modularization, if you want prefabricated items, if you want things assembled for prefab to enable prefab, it has to be looped into the design. So establish those design standards and use them for repeatable assemblies. And number three, you're going to have to engage digital design and building information modeling. So if you are prefabricating head walls or overhead corridor racks or the overhead MEP in and of itself in the interstitial space or anything else for that matter, you're going to want to model that and make sure that it is designed properly. Sometimes you're even going to have to get a third-party structural designer to do some of these things, right? And you might have to have third-party designers help out, but the bottom line is you're going to want to model it, make sure that it works, get it approved, get all the designers on board, make sure that the contract documents support it, and then make sure that that model can then transfer to lift drawings or spool drawings or shop drawings that will enable you to assemble it. Not only order the materials and equipment, but then assemble it before it comes to the site. Number 4, once you have it modeled, you know exactly what you're going to do. You're going to want to make sure that you have prefabrication, transportation, and assembly planning. How are you going to prefabricate it, transport it, and then erect it in place? So coordinate logistics, transportation, and on-site assembly, and make sure that you know exactly how that's going to work, because if it doesn't and you have to make minor tweaks, you'll want to make that in the model as well, and possibly in the design early on, so that you have what you need. Number 5, supplier and contractor coordination. Sometimes, like let's say an overhead corridor rack has multiple trades, or let's say you're prefabricating walls, right? You need to coordinate where that's going to be prefabricated and coordinate when and where the different trades will actually install their scopes, their disciplines as a part of your effort. Number 6, you'll need to make sure that all of your workers are trained, so your crews are trained to install these. There will be some very specific methods probably that you've decided upon ahead of time that might deal with layout, elevations, assembly, sequence, and other means and methods, and you'll want to make sure that as a part of the pre-construction meeting that the foreman and then in the first in place inspection that your workers are all trained on the methods needed to install that prefabricated assembly properly. And so this is not easy. Let me just say that getting the design team, all of the stakeholders on board early is not easy. Getting contractors all on board to decide on prefabrication facility, the location, how they're going to do it, the sequence, it's not easy. Coordinating transportation, it's not easy. Adjusting your installation techniques, it's not easy. But the key is just be tenacious. Decide, hey, this is what we're doing. And as long as everybody's on board and it pencils out, be adamant and really make sure that everybody understands that these are the expectations, and then work to solve problems towards that end. And if you have that determination, I promise you, you can get it done. And if there's a little bit of experimentation along the way, some adjustments that you have to make, or even some mistakes, it's okay. We're working as an industry to get good at this. Some of these things may not pencil out right away, like going all in with prefab. It may not be cost effective. You might not be able to do it, right? And so you might need to ask yourself, well, hey, I wanted to prefabricate these bathrooms as pods. I can't do that. It didn't pencil out. Or these rooms or these exam rooms or whatever. But could I kit them, right? Could I pre-cut studs? Could I do room kitting? Could I coordinate them better? Could I, what can I do? Like, take it as far as you can. If it doesn't pencil in, do what you can, do it well, learn, and take that to future projects. And then once you actually do the prefabrication, you might want to do a little research paper on it. You might want to look at the cost benefits. You might want to showcase it, tour people through there, take some videos, celebrate with the team, and really normalize this in construction, because we've got to find the right balance for prefabrication if we're going to be as efficient as we possibly can. So do not believe the people that say, we don't need prefab. Also, don't believe these modular companies and these radicals that say, no, you need to prefabricate everything. There is a balance, right? We need stick-built. We need normal construction assemblies. We need normal work methods. We need prefabrication. We need prefabricated pods. We also need pre-cut materials. We need what's called kitting, right? Where you kit it and then you assemble it when it's pre-cut and pre-coordinated out in the field. We need to leverage all possible opportunities. I'll just give you a quick example. In one of the projects, I wanted to prefabricate the entire rooms in a laboratory, the entire pod. Didn't pencil out. So what we did is we did room kitting, where we coordinated all the walls, and we literally moved in boxes which had all of the conduit, the back boxes, and everything that they needed to assemble the MEP on the walls. Everything came out in a kit labeled by the box. The studs came out in a package, all pre-kitted, so they literally just assembled it in the field, but it was pre-cut and kitted before it ever came out. So yeah, we couldn't do the pods, but we could do the pre-kitting, and it really worked out well. So keep an open mind. Put your brain on, right? Really think through this process. Follow the steps that I've given you and take it as far as you can, and I promise that you'll have a good time with it. It's really, really a nice experience, and it's something that you can be proud of and that you can replicate and get better at from project to project. And so, like I said, I'm going to link you to a podcast in the description below that I think you'll love. And if you have any questions or want further, there's a lot of resources out there. If you want any other resources, any other information, please let me know in the comments below. I would love to give them to you. I hope you learn to love prefabrication. On we go.